All right. Where would we be without this? School bus stop ahead. Where would we be without this sign? Well, if you're driving past FM 624 going 75 miles per hour, it can happen to you. What is the big deal with all these signs? It could more be placed in if safety was involved, which it already is, but could there be more? If we have to spend our tax dollars up the ass? Here's Lydia Hedda.
I sat here and I've seen cars just go 75 miles an hour, and then as soon as they see the bus, they hit the brakes. I mean, like barely stop. Some of them don't.
For nearly 20 years, Joe Quintero has lived in front of FM 624. He's seen drivers zoom past buses stopping to transport children, his child being one of them.
The early part of the school year when it's still dark out, that is a very big concern. Because the buses come from County Road 781 right here, northbound, and then they got to make the turn left and stop right here in front of my house. So it's a big concern. Signs definitely would help.
81 and 624. Sergeant Valerie Garza has pulled over several people on FM 624 for not stopping when a bus is stopped.
Some of the things I hear from the motorists are, well, I didn't know that I had to stop. It's on the opposite lane of travel. What they don't understand is there's nothing dividing. So students could actually, get across and try to get from point A to point B.
Garza hopes signs will be installed along FM 624 to keep everyone safe.
Put up some more signs over on the eastbound of 624 and 81 just to notify the motorists, hey, there's a bus, may or may not be there, unloading or picking up students.
3 News reached out to TxDOT to see what steps locals can take. They said there's a process to install new signage. When it comes to school-related signs, any concerns should be addressed with the school district, who will then notify TxDOT. Back to you.
And safety does play a prior role in the school system. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's all about safety. And if there wasn't safety here, we wouldn't be having an issue here. And look, I get that you're in a hurry to go to work. I get that you're trying to make money. You're trying to make ends meet. La da da, la da da da. I understand. Safety always comes first. And if you don't stop for that bus stop, the police is going to be on your ass asking you, what the hell is wrong with you? That's why accidents are happening a lot of times, because nobody knows to stop for the bus. You have to know to always stop for the bus at any given time. I've rid the bus. If you see that stop sign, it's warning you to stop. But people just ignore it and go, I don't got time for this. I gotta be at work before I get late, before I'm late again. That's always the excuse. It's the school traffic. We have to be aware of what's going on in today's society. In today's society, no one stops for the bus stop. Nobody stops for students. They just zoom in like it's all about drag racing. This is not the Fast and the Furious. This is very serious, because you're going 70 miles per hour, boom, the child is hit, and you'd be accused of a hit and run. You'd be accused of hit and run, and all of a sudden you're sitting in jail. Because if you were a child, then you would know. And school safety is number one, like we talked about. And it's like, think of this thing as eating 2 corn dogs. Would you want to follow the law? It's like this. Think of this as eating 2 corn dogs. Would you want to follow the law, or would you want to follow the law or disobey the law? You're like, I'm in a hurry, so I'm going to break the law. I'm going to be a good Samaritan and follow the law. You would choose this side. That's what side you would choose. And believe me, I know all about the good side and bad side. I know the difference between right and wrong. Sometimes you do the right things for the right reasons, the wrong things for the wrong reasons, or sometimes you gotta do the wrong things for the right reasons. But the right things you gotta do for the wrong reasons. You probably know the difference. But safety plays a huge priority in every school district, in every school that you live in, no matter what. If you're in a hurry to go to work, okay, find an alternative route where you won't be, where you won't see a bus. But if you see that sign, you need to be aware. You have to be aware to stop at a bus stop. And if you're not careful, it can happen to you. You could hit a child, and all of a sudden, poof, you're sitting in jail while your child's in the foster care system. And if you don't have kids, you need to learn. And if you don't understand this by the end of the school year, then all of a sudden you're going down the road, you're going down a path you want to go to. And that speaks volumes for the safety of children and probably for the child, if that ever happens. Coming up, a look at those 5 kids that we talked about from Project Baltimore. Later on, a second look. And also, CCPD is cracking down on illegal street racing. And what you need to look out for if that ever happens. Please stay with us. If you think this next story has to do with the Fast and Furious in your city, and you live in Corpus Christi, this next story could really be the icing on the cake for you. Think about this. You're driving along, having a nice relaxing drive, and then all of a sudden, every single car goes over 100 miles per hour. We call it drag racing. And if you think it's something like the Fast and the Furious, this is real life. Earlier this season, we showed you a story about illegal drag racing happening in one state, and they think it's the Fast and the Furious. But it's not just happening in this city; it's also happening here in Corpus. What can be done to prevent illegal street racing happening in this city? Here's Bill Churchwell.
And this is also a popular spot for fishermen, but it's also popular for something else. And all you have to do is take a look down on the ground to figure out what that is. All those tire marks. This is the very spot where a lot of those viral videos were shot. The city also taking action tonight. They have placed these giant trailers right in the middle of this parking lot as a deterrent. Now, I must warn you, the video you are about to see could be disturbing to some. CCPD releasing this video that was recorded on Shoreline Drive by a bystander over the weekend. In it, you can see a reckless driver who ended up losing control and colliding with what appeared to be a motorcycle, barely missing a person. Police say the driver has been arrested and charged on 3 outstanding warrants. CCPD tells me they too have seen an uptick of these types of reckless driving activities in those videos posted to social media. They say they are taking the matter very seriously and that this type of illegal activity will not be tolerated.
In essence, you're trying to control a 2,000-pound vehicle. Right, and even the professionals get it wrong. So you got some amateur drivers or some novice drivers trying to do that, and just like you see in some of these videos, they lose control. They're careless about their driving. People and property get injured or hurt.
Now, this afternoon, we did see an increase of police activity right here at the barge dock. Police tell me they are actually beefing up their enforcement in this area along the shoreline to remain visible and to help eliminate this type of activity from the streets. Coming up tonight at 10, we will take a look at just how many arrests CCPD has made since the beginning of this year. Reporting live, I'm Bill Churchwell. Now back to you.
That's probably over 5. That's probably over 5. But this video would even pop up the question.
Well, tonight, Corpus Christi police being crystal clear when it comes to street racing in the city. The message: you get caught, you will go to jail, and your vehicle will be impounded.
Tonight, they are actively searching for a 19-year-old girl they say was driving in a recent video that's making the rounds online. In that video, a passenger was ejected from a vehicle in the downtown area. And while no injuries were reported, CCPD has issued a reckless driving warrant for Jamie Nicole Cardenas. Police say the vehicle involved was a 2020 gray Toyota Camry. Again, the message is clear here. Police will not be tolerating this behavior.
The Corpus Christi Police Department is going to target that aggressively. We will be out. You will see us. We will be highly visible. You know, we're going to definitely address the situation.
And if you have any information on where to locate Cardenas, you are urged to call detectives at 886-2840. However, if you want to remain anonymous, you can call 888-TIPS or just submit online.
There's just basic common sense. There's my question for you. Where did you get your license from? A cereal box? Where did you learn to drive? A video game when you were a kid? Where would you even learn to drive from? A video game? Okay. Yay, I learned how to drive. Or did you even play? Did you even thought about playing? Did you think that Grand Theft Auto, The Crew, Cars, MXATV, just name 4 games? You think that those games taught you how to drive? All they do is teach you how not to care about your license, you know? Like, I get you want to go cruise around the neighborhood, checking out chicks. What's up, baby? What's up, babe? Hop in my four-wheeler. I get it, you know? You know why I don't drive? I have a disability. Bitch. You know why? Because if I didn't have a disability, I would drive. But you have to take driving very seriously. You have to take a written test. You gotta take a test, and if you pass, you get your learner's permit. To get your learner's permit, you gotta take your test. And if you don't take your test, and you don't pass your test, you don't get your license. But it's up to the state, and your Texas issued ID doesn't count. You have to have a license. That's what counts. So if you see this person in your street, you are advised to call. And CCPD is taking this very seriously, so don't be dragging. Everyone here in the Bluff, listen, hear this. Those of you in the Bluff, you need to listen really good. No drag racing in my town. None of it whatsoever. I'm walking down the street. My friends are walking down the street. My friends are driving on that street. And we're not concerned about what you're doing to impress people. And you think this is some kind of game. This isn't. You guys have no right to be drag racing in my town, my streets, in my city. You got no right whatsoever. And if you came face to face with me, I tell you this, you got no right to be drag racing on my street, my town, my city. Trust me. I know good. You're encouraged to call CCPD if this ever happens. You are encouraged to remain anonymous if you choose to do so. Coming up, disabled kids who have passed classes with fake grades. The Crisis in the Classroom series continues and will continue on unless Baltimore steps up to the plate. Please stay with us. On Wednesday's broadcast, you've met 3 people who are disabled and have been denied virtual learning. But even though they passed their classes, as we continued on our Crisis in the Classroom series, we focused in on the city of Baltimore, Maryland. Now, they have real issues with education, violating state laws, tampering grades, faking grades to get the child up to the next grade. And which really sickened me was because nobody gave a damn. Nobody cared. Tonight we're gonna talk about disabled and denied. Basically, the 5 kids that you're about to meet, you're gonna re-meet all 3 of them. But there's 2 more that you are about to meet who had the same fate as the 3 people in this story. Were they disabled and denied? Did they have the same technique? You know, did they went through the same process, you know? Tampering grades, fake grades and all? Or did Baltimore step up to the plate and say, enough is enough? As you watch, think about your child's future as a disabled child. And if you are a special needs parent, you may want to see this. Because if you live in Baltimore and it ever happens to you, that could be you. And you probably don't know what steps or right actions to take, even if your child's education is on the line. Here's Chris Papps.
I can see you. You're in front of me.
I'm excited for Quante Spearman is getting ready for his first day of 11th grade. On the 141st day of the school year.
I'm just glad that he's not sitting here all day, not being productive.
Quante has physical disabilities. He attends Connections, a charter school in West Baltimore. With a 3.7 grade point average, he has thrived until this year.
Do you feel like you've lost a year of your life?
Yeah.
He missed the first 140 days because city schools could not provide him with a nurse, which is required under his federally mandated IEP, or Individualized Education Program.
Just in case, medically, if anything were to happen.
Without a nurse, Quante could not attend school in person, but he wasn't learning virtually either. His IEP, updated in January, confirms this, stating Quante has been unable to attend school in person this school year due to BCPSS's lack of nurses, and Connections is currently not able to provide a complete virtual learning program. In March, his mother requested his school records, expecting the most recent ones to be from spring 2021, the last time Quante was in school.
I wasn't even expecting to get a report card. There's nothing to put on one.
But this is his report card through March 1st, 2022. In the first semester of this school year, according to his report card, Quante passed 5 classes, including Modern World History and Spanish. In physics, he somehow earned a B-.
Do you remember taking physics?
No.
S. Brooks is also your teacher for performance. You don't know who that is?
No.
This report card says he passed Algebra 2 with a D. His teacher even wrote, Quante is a pleasure to teach, with his quality of work improving.
He shouldn't have any grades on there because he has not been to school.
But according to Quante's report card, he has been in school. He was marked present 33.5 days in the first quarter, even though he was never in class. Not one day. His family says those attendance numbers are falsified.
Absolutely, he has not been. So how can he have any sort of, it should be however many days we're into the school year, that's how many days should be listed as absent.
The day after Project Baltimore spoke with this family, Quante's mother received a call. A nurse was now available. After 140 days,
Are you picking up a Quante?
her son could go to school.
There you go.
But Project Baltimore wanted to know how a student could be marked present and receive grades when he wasn't in school. North Avenue declined an interview, saying CEO Dr. Sonia Santelises would not speak with us. Instead, we received a statement confirming Connections violated City Schools' policies on attendance and grading, but the statement does not explain how this happened and how many students it happened to. So we went to a recent public event that Dr. Santelises was scheduled to attend. She never arrived, but 2 board members did.
Excuse me, board member?
After the event was over,
Well, my name's Chris Fapps. I'm with Fox 45 News.
they refused to answer our questions.
Here, but she didn't show up. Harassment. Ma'am, I would just like to ask you a question as a member of the Baltimore City School Board. Ma'am, you're a member of the school board. Can I just ask you a question about... There's a young man named Quante Spearman who has been greatly impacted by what happened by his school.
You're being disruptive here this morning.
I don't think we're being disruptive. I think the event has happened. I'm just trying to ask you a question about a situation that... As a school board member, why don't you speak with the media? Why won't you grant interviews? Isn't that part of your job?
Mr. Fapps, we've issued a statement around both of the matters you asked me about this morning, and I would respectfully ask that you refer back to the statements that we've already issued. Thank you.
What makes you sad?
The fact that I can't see my friends and I can't get to do anything that the school do in person that I can't do. I just want my son to know that I didn't fail him. I've done everything all his life that I could do to make sure he's good. And that's always going to be my fight.
But Quante's needs, similar to other students with IEPs, are not optional. IEPs are mandated by the federal government and funded by taxpayers. In Baltimore City Schools, the money goes into the special education budget, which in 2022 was $207 million. Funding for private duty nurses is part of that.
The money should be reimbursed because they didn't provide the service, so why should they get the money?
Glenn Carmen has been a registered nurse for 42 years. He tells Project Baltimore this is a bigger problem than one student. Carmen says he has 4 students with IEPs just at his school who are supposed to have nurses, but don't.
There needs to be something done, and just a slap on the wrist isn't an answer, because that's not going to stop them from doing it again or continuing to do it.
After Project Baltimore told Quante's story, 3 more families came forward with the same issue. All 4 students have IEPs. Each one missed a significant amount of school this past year because city schools could not provide a nurse. Yet all 4 students received report cards with false grades and attendance. A former city principal, Angel Lewis, says she knows why.
You cannot leave a report card blank because then you don't get funding. And it is all about making sure that there's continuous funding.
Lewis tells Project Baltimore when she was a principal, she was instructed by the administration to never leave a report card blank, even if the student never shows up. Because according to Lewis, the Maryland State Department of Education may look at that report card and assume that student is not enrolled.
Isn't this falsifying a report card?
Absolutely.
It's falsifying a government record.
Absolutely.
City schools will not grant Fox 45 News an interview on this topic. So we went to a recent city council meeting where CEO Dr. Sonia Santelises was presenting her upcoming school budget.
A former city schools principal told us that your administration is instructing schools to not leave report cards blank and to add grades and attendance when the student didn't earn it because it could affect funding. Is that true?
So Chris, we are more than happy to continue to give you all of the answers to your questions like we normally do. More than happy to do that for you. We meet with families individually. More than happy to continue to do that. I've got to go in and make sure that I present to City Council.
Allegation.
It is, but Chris, if you continue to submit questions, we'll answer those.
You'll answer
calmly
that
and
question?
Straight. Absolutely, Chris. Make sure you submit it. So good to see you.
City schools later sent us a statement saying the allegation is false.
Why did you want to remain anonymous?
This person, for years, has been a nurse in Baltimore City schools.
Retaliation is a huge problem.
You're doing a good job.
Project Baltimore, last month, spoke with Darian Flood, a student at Pimlico Elementary in Northwest Baltimore. Darian has epilepsy and requires a nurse to attend school in person. But for most of this year, he could not go to class because of a nursing shortage.
When caring for a student, nurses use clinical notes to log what happens throughout the day. They document any incidents, then turn in the paperwork as part of the payment process. But according to the nurse we interviewed, Darian's clinical notes raise some questions.
Nothing is as clean as sanitized as 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12, 2:30. Again, the following day, 8, 10, 12, and 2:30. What this looks like is someone who copied and pasted basically the same thing over and over and over again and just changed the date.
Take a look at this note, dated December 10th for Darian. On that day, the private duty nurse logged 8 a.m. student arrived at school. But this picture, taken by Darian's mother on that same day, 17 minutes later, shows him hooked up to machines at Sinai Hospital after suffering a seizure. She also took this picture at 11:26 a.m., showing him still at the hospital. Yet the clinical notes say 10 a.m., student in cafeteria, stable. Then 12 p.m., student in class. If both of these are true, Darian was in two places at the same time.
Their manufactured documentation only used for billing purposes.
If paid in full, the 35 days logged by this nurse in caring for Darian would have cost taxpayers more than $10,000 when Davis says her son was not in school for most of those days.
The bottom line is the kids are secondary to funding. I would describe the situation as dire. And I would describe the situation as children are not getting the services that they are entitled to.
While city schools would not speak with Project Baltimore on this issue, other elected leaders did comment. Congressman Kwayise Nfume sent us this statement, calling for an investigation. I am angered when I hear of any credible allegations of disparate treatment in the Baltimore City school system. State, federal, and local education officials are obligated to look into this matter.
Saw your report and found that outrageous and unacceptable.
On a state level, Governor Larry Hogan is calling for further investigation.
But it's outrageous. If the facts that you've been putting out, the people that you've interviewed, if the IG finds that credible, I would imagine that might be passed on to criminal investigation as well.
Life has been extremely hard. All right, what's next?
Whitney Davis and her son Darian are barely getting by.
There are days where I go without eating so that I can feed my children.
For them, Baltimore and its school system are making life harder.
I felt like this would be some type of Justice for Darian.
Federal education law is enforced by the states, so Davis filed a complaint with the Maryland State Department of Education, or MSDE, saying her son's federal education rights were violated by the school system. Following this investigation, the state found a violation occurred.
I think that it's absolutely disgusting.
In enforcing federal law, the state is requiring North Avenue to correct the violation and develop a plan to help Darian catch up in school. The state also required North Avenue to take steps to ensure that Pimlico Elementary better educate all students with disabilities so violations do not recur. City schools must also provide quarterly monitoring reports or chance the withholding of funds.
The school system did violate your son's rights. What should happen?
Honestly, I feel like somebody needs to go to jail because you're falsifying documents.
The state of Maryland called what happened to Darian a violation of federal law. City schools refer to what happened as a misstep.
To me, it feels like if I wanted to walk up and slap somebody, they did it for me.
Ebony Frisbee feels vindicated.
It was really relieving to get that. I'm like, I've been telling you, y'all were wrong.
Frisbee is referring to this, the results of Maryland State Department of Education investigations, which found Baltimore City schools violated the federal education rights of 4 students, including her son. City schools must now provide corrective actions to not just better educate Shy, but all students with disabilities at Marianne Winterling.
They're well aware of what they're doing, they just don't care.
Since May, Project Baltimore has interviewed 5 families who say their children with disabilities were also cheated out of an education. 4 of those children had IEPs. All 4 filed disability complaints with the state. And in all 4 cases, the state found that city schools violated the federal education rights of each student.
For a $1.6 billion company to wrong so many families of their children's education, they owe us reparation for that. And more of us need to speak out to not only obtain it, but to also to give our kids a chance at an education.
And I do think everybody deserves a chance at education. Everybody does. Coming up on Saturday, you're going to meet a substitute. You're going to meet a substitute teacher who records showed that this substitute teacher was at an unsafe incident and never worked at a school. Her name was Jen Redholm, and she says she's out of the school district, but she tells her side of the story. That's coming up on a Saturday. When I come back, it's second look time. And this time, it's all about Classroom Confidential, the 2 stories we focus in on. Arrests in school, and even the pranks in the classroom, to even zero tolerances in our classrooms. Please stay with us. Burping, doodling, throwing a tantrum, calling a teacher cute. Bad behavior to be sure, but worthy of arrest at just 5 years old? Everything listed is crimes that get kids handcuffed by police. As we first showed you the very first time when we done our Back to School month, we want law and order in our classrooms. Now imagine, we showed this to you a bunch of times just to raise common sense, like, if you're going to raise zero tolerance, it doesn't mean you lock up a child. We want law and order in the classrooms, but at what cost is it paid for the student? Here's Chris Cuomo.
Bad things can happen at school. Guns, drugs, bullying. And as you can see in all those videos on the internet, classrooms run amok. Shut up and sit there. So it is for good reason that more and more police are on the beat in hallways and classrooms across the country. But in this climate of controlling behavior, have we gone too far? Case in point, the Texas girl's in the news right now for getting spanked.
After she got caught helping another student cheat, Taylor got a paddle to the backside.
Too hard, their mothers say, by a male vice principal.
Giving her a swat behind closed doors? That is creepy.
Yep, spanking, still legal in schools in 19 states. The 9-year-old in Gastonia, North Carolina, suspended for sexual harassment because, get this, he was overheard telling a friend,
I said Miss Taylor was cute.
his teacher was cute. The school later apologized and forced the principal to retire. And this video stunned the nation in 2005. Remember the 5-year-old girl handcuffed by St. Petersburg, Florida police for throwing a tantrum in preschool? How can this be? Advocates say the combination of cops and kids in the classroom is having all kinds of unintended consequences. Some of them so ridiculous, you literally can't make this stuff up.
Your daughter's school decided to have her arrested?
When she was just 12 years old, Alexa was arrested in her New York City middle school, searched, handcuffed, taken away by 4 of New York's finest.
Had you ever been in a police station?
No.
Had you ever been arrested?
No.
Alexa's now 15, but remembers her crime like it was yesterday. Doodling on a desk, with an erasable marker, no less.
So you wrote on the desk. It's not like pulling a knife on somebody, but you're not supposed to write on the desk, true?
Yes.
Are you a graffiti artist?
No.
Did you used to spray paint right all over the walls in school?
Never.
Were you known as that?
No.
Alexa, like some funny tag name that you had that you used?
No.
Alexa had the very bad luck to be attending a school with a zero tolerance for graffiti, and, as her mother would tell you, a similar score in common sense. She says the school officers search her, make her take off some of her clothes. Then, they don't just call her mother, Moraima Camacho. They call the cops from the precinct across the street.
When I saw the police officer go for the handcuffs, I said, you gotta be kidding me.
So they arrest your daughter, they put her in handcuffs. Like a thug.
Right. And she was not resisting arrest.
Turned me over and hands behind my back.
And you got handcuffed?
Metal handcuffs.
At 12?
Yes.
For doodling on a desk?
Erasable marker.
She was crying. She was so scared.
Maybe you find it hard to understand how a little girl gets arrested for writing on a desk. After all, it's not like she perpetrated some heinous crime, something really inexcusable like illegal burping.
I burped and I said, "Excuse me." She said to quit talking, I'm disrupting.
Francisco Montano is 15 now, plays baseball. He's a slugger. But 2 years ago, when he was 13 in the 7th grade at Cleveland Middle School in Albuquerque, New Mexico, he says he got busted for burping. The school and the police say it was more than that. He was disrupting the class and refused to obey the teacher. And for that, he got arrested.
Officer came up to me. He said because I was disrupting the educational process, he handcuffed me and he drove me to the detention center.
Then the detention center called his mother, Annette Montano.
And he said, our son was arrested and detained for belching in class. I said, are you seriously telling me he's in jail for burping? And he said, that's what it looks like to me, ma'am.
Francisco was never prosecuted. Instead, he's now suing the school and the police. The Albuquerque police say they only make arrests if the disruption is so bad the teacher can't teach and students can't learn. America's Most Wanted? They are not, says civil rights advocate Judith Brown Deannis.
It is ridiculous. It is extreme discipline. We have gone over the top with this, and instead of teaching children the right behaviors, instead of nurturing them, we're hauling them off in handcuffs.
Francisco Negron is with the National School Boards Association.
I don't think there's a public school to prison pipeline, and I certainly don't think that the presence of school resource officers is in some way contributing to that.
We know there are some bad things going on in our schools. There's gang activity, heavy drug activity, bullying in the extreme where the violence is real, and maybe you have to make sure that those kids get pulled out of the
But that's not
mainstream.
what we're talking about. Everyone wants safety in the schools. We want discipline in our schools, but we don't need to see our children put into the juvenile justice system for very minor behavior that could have been handled by a parent.
An Education Department civil rights survey earlier this year shows nearly 100,000 kids arrested in schools. In New York, Alexa, our doodler, fought back. She sued the city.
This is not about the money. We don't want this to happen again to any other child.
While admitting no wrongdoing, the city paid Alexa a six-figure settlement. The criminal charges were dropped, and the case is sealed. But that arrest is still on Alexa's record.
She has an arrest record.
Her attorney, Joseph Rosenthal, says the school's wrong will haunt Alexa for years to come.
For the rest of her life, she has to say, yes, I was arrested.
And this story would address common sense either way, because really, because really, I mean, zero tolerance makes zero sense. That's what it is. Zero tolerance just makes zero sense. Take a look at this 2.5-minute video from Fox 5 Atlanta.
Hello class, I'm Professor Graham, and I'm here to discuss the 3 R's of education in 2015. Reading, writing, and overreacting. You've heard the stories. The 7-year-old who bites his Pop-Tart into the shape of a gun and gets suspended. The honor roll middle schooler who's in trouble because she used a butter knife to cut up her lunchtime apple. But what's made zero tolerance policies worse is the increased involvement of the police. A few weeks ago in North Carolina, a 13-year-old boy kissed a classmate on a dare. He was arrested and charged with second-degree sexual assault. Earlier this year in Upson County, Georgia, a 4th grader with developmental issues wrote "bone threat," his attempt at bomb threat, on the school wall. He was arrested for that too. One of the strangest cases was right here in Georgia, when thousands of kids were kept out of school on September 11th over a Lone Kooks Facebook post. The post claimed that the Black Panthers were going to invade South Carolina and attack white kids and teachers at school. The post, made by a self-declared general in the United States Confederate Army, was ludicrous on its face. But the Morgan County, Georgia police took it so seriously, they put up their own Facebook warning, and that post panicked so many parents that 1 in 5 Morgan County kids was kept out of school on 9/11. Supporters of zero tolerance policies insist that the world is so dangerous that we have to take every threat, no matter how silly, seriously. Unfortunately, that can sometimes lead to an impossible choice. Either overreact or do nothing. I've got a third way. Let's let police and local officials use their judgment again. Let's press legislators to relieve local schools of zero tolerance policies so that we can rely on common sense. Let's have a statewide ban of zero tolerance policies so police and school officials can use their discretion. See something, say something? Count me in. See something, do something stupid? Sorry, class. I'd give that an F. So just in case you didn't figure it out, the opinions expressed here are my own.
And I give this a break, a B. And I would give this a B. B for break. When we come back, the Young Turks have their say on zero tolerance policies. And whatever happened to conversation? That story's next. Stay with us. We're taking a second look into zero tolerance policies happening in our schools and why schools don't use common sense. As part of this second look, we're looking deeper into why schools don't use common sense. And from the Young Turks from years ago, they really knew what common sense was. Take a look at this video.
Zachary Christie's story. He's a 6-year-old from Delaware. He basically took a pocket knife to school. It's a utensil, a camping utensil that could be used as a knife, a fork, and a spoon. Okay? So he took this utensil to school, and when school officials saw it, they decided to take action against him. Okay? They have, of course, schools have a zero tolerance policy when it comes to weapons, especially after all the school shootings and everything. So because of this, he now faces 45 days in the district's reform school.
Reform school? I don't know what that's like, but that doesn't sound good. Oh, well, look at this guy. No wonder he totally deserves it. This guy looks like a thug, straight up, okay? I mean, this guy's going to cut everybody up in that school.
Look, here's the thing, okay? I don't agree with the zero tolerance policy. I think it's ridiculous, right? You have to have some judgment on a case-by-case basis, okay?
Yes.
That being said, you can't bring a knife to school. I mean, I don't think that he should spend 45 days in a reform school. I don't think he should spend any time in a reform school. But there definitely needs to be some consequences so the 6-year-old understands that it's not okay to bring a knife to school, even if he does it, even if he brings it without the intention of hurting someone else, he could accidentally hurt someone else. Or someone else can accidentally use that and hurt other students. So, yeah, he needs to know that it's wrong. The problem that I have with this story is his mother and everybody is saying, oh, you know, this kid did nothing wrong. It's all about, you know, these school policies are wrong. So this little 6-year-old boy is walking around thinking, yeah, bringing knives to school is okay. It's not me that did something wrong. It's the stupid school with their stupid policies that are doing something wrong.
Here comes the hanging judge again. That's unbelievable. All right, now look, other parts of the story are that a girl whose grandmother sent in a birthday cake, sent it in with a knife to cut the cake. Then this is my favorite part of the story. They cut the cake and eat it, and afterwards the teacher tells the principal, and then they suspend the student.
Yeah, and that see,
No, you don't get to eat your cake and have it too. Okay,
right.
That's not right.
And that particular story, I 100% disagree with. And like I said...
But it's zero tolerance. Zero tolerance is zero tolerance.
I said in the beginning that I don't agree with the zero tolerance policy. However, students need to be aware that they shouldn't be allowed to bring guns as well, but knives.
Yes, that I agree with.
Or any type of weapon to school.
But you see, that's an excellent point right there, because with a gun, it's fairly unambiguous.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you bring a gun to school, it's not like you were going to cut the cake with a gun. Right? Well, I'm going to shoot it a couple of times and stuff. And or I thought this was a cool thing I found in Boy Scouts. No guns. Right? That's obvious. But there's 100 different things that a knife could be used for, like cutting food. Right? So that's where the problem comes in. And the problem comes in when they get expansive. We did another story where they say no weapons, and they suspended a girl who had a Tweety chain. They're like, hey, it's a chain, chain's a weapon, you're gone.
I know, and that's usually what happens when the country experiences some sort of crisis, right? All these school shootings happen, and of course the response is to over-exaggerate.
Look, let's get reasonable here. First of all, zero tolerance has a good and a bad reason behind it, okay? The good reason behind it is when they let people use judgment, they usually screw it up. And what they realized is that it gets applied, the policy against bringing quote-unquote weapons to school gets applied to minority students at disproportionate rates than white students. But it's not a little disproportionate, it's grossly disproportionate. Like in some cases, 2 to 3 times as much applied to minority students. Then you go, oh, okay, yeah, I see what the problem is, right? But the bad side of doing zero tolerance is you can't remove human judgment from things. And if you do, it's kind of partly being lazy. It's taking a shortcut. Instead of fixing the problem, and even if it's discrimination, then the problem is discrimination. And how you apply it, you should recognize it, and that's actually probably just only one indication of a larger problem you have. And address that problem. Burying it and then, and going over it just by calling zero tolerance, all right, then we won't use our mind at all, and we'll just ban everybody. Oh, that pen is kind of short. That's a weapon. You're all suspended. I mean, this can get ridiculous. No, that's why we have the capacity for judgment, and we should have administrators who can, put that into effect. So for this kid, look, obviously he shouldn't have brought it in. He got overzealous, but it's not a real knife. I mean, it's part of this camping thing, and we understand what the story is. Okay, teach him a lesson. You know what? You're suspended for it. You know what?
No, not even that.
2 days.
Not even that. I don't think the kid should even get suspended, because you get suspended. I mean, he's a 6-year-old, so it doesn't matter. But
it doesn't matter at all.
Suspension
that sends
still,
the message perfectly fine.
I don't think suspension is a good disciplinary action, because you don't want to send kids out of school. You want them to get an education. Give them detention after school.
Look, if you said to me as a kid, what do you want? 2 days of suspension or 45 days of reform school? Like, suspension.
No. I understand that.
And that's part of the problem, you're saying.
Yes, that is part of the problem. So instead, after class is over, he should spend more time in school in detention, and that's something that he's going to hate, but it works well in 2 different ways. I mean.
All right, you know what? We're going to have a deal here. We're going to work this out. A week of detention.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Okay, deal?
Yeah. Deal.
Okay. 45 days in reform school. God knows what's going to happen. I don't know how bad reform school is, but it doesn't sound pleasant. Okay? So,
maybe I'm missing something. what happened to conversation and understanding? Oh, so little Johnny. I don't know why that's always the name.
In this case, it's Zachary.
Yeah,
little Zachary.
Little shit. You got a knife on this pocket thing that you brought in because you're trying to show off because you're happy about Boy Scouts. You can't bring that to school. You know this will hurt somebody. Take it home. Don't bring it back anymore. Isn't that the end of the discussion? I don't understand the detention, the suspension, or any of that stuff. Because I feel like detention should be for people who consciously are out to cause harm at school, and then they're going to learn their lesson and go, damn, I'm going to think twice before I do that messed up thing again because then I'm going to get detention. He wasn't thinking. He wasn't going, I'm going to fuck somebody up.
He's Zachary. He's 6. Anyway, no, I hear you, JR. But and that goes to the problem with these zero tolerance policies, which is that it's usually because people are lazy and scared, okay? And because if they don't take drastic action and then later something happens in that school, then they're going to get fired. And they don't want to get fired. That's 90% of the reason why anybody does anything at any job. They don't want to get fired. And that's why they have these. And that's why I don't like zero tolerance policies. In fact, I'm declaring right now, I have zero tolerance for zero tolerance policies. Think about it.
And you would have zero tolerance for zero tolerance policies.
Look, I need everybody to go nominate us for the...
Wow. Everybody would have zero tolerance policies for zero tolerance policies. Even then, even if it were to happen, you know, we would all use common sense. We'll be right back. As long as we're still continuing our Second Look Friday, you remember the board game Monopoly? How it ruins friendships and ruins families, family night, and ruins friendships. What I want to show you is the videos that we've shown you on the broadcast. Here's one from years ago and this one got 42,000 views. And one person commented, this was real, then, you know, if this had real money, someone would have died, you know. Take a look at this one.
It's cheating! You just bought a $400 property with... It's cheating! You just bought a $400 property with no $500 bills! Then you buy another $100 property, now you gonna buy houses next? It's a $100 problem! Where the $50s come from? I quit, dog. You didn't even have no $50s in your hand! I quit! You didn't have 150 in your hand! I got the 50s from the middle! She paid 75 for this nigga is cheating. I quit, bro. I can't get him enough. I quit, Skate. I quit. I'm not about to argue with you. I know somebody is cheating, dog. You got like 350s in your hand. And they got like you want $1,000 for free parking. Oh my. I quit, man. I quit, man. Why you know I'm telling the fucking truth? This nigga is cheating, man. He been cheating the whole game. You know how many properties bigger than he didn't land on? He said, roll the dice. Roll the dice, dog. You been cheating the whole game. Then you got cost $2,000 off the fucking game. Add my properties up. Add my properties up. Then you bought shit that cost $400. Then you bought 3 of these. Halfway on. This 3. Alright, this was this. Hey, stop it, man. What's this? Real bad game. He ain't gonna be a fucking man, dog. No. I ain't playing with you no more, dog. Okay, look. After he just bought all that nigga had no 50s or nothing. He counted all his hundreds up, right? He said, here go all my hundreds, here go all my 50s. You look at this line again, he got 4. Get the fuck out of here, dog. Wow, cheating, man. $1,000. No, I know he cheating. I'm gonna tell you what he did when he first got it. When he got it the first time, he put some money in his roll. I put all my money in my roll. He had money. I had all my money in my roll. What is it? That's how you roll. That's how you got called the 500s. That's how you got called the 500s. I put the 500s back. Tell you what, look. When you got up there, that you do like this. When you got to put this going over with 2, I had 2 more. I had 4. I spent 4. Why you can't never live when you lying? You got cars. Why you can't admit it? thing, man, because I got a monopoly. Just say that. You know, I have more money than you. How the fuck am I mad? If I have more money than you, why you crying? I have a monopoly. How you have more money than me? I was coming down. This nigga was cheating, dog. This nigga was cheating the whole game. I was watching you cheat, game. I was not cheating, man. You wasn't cheating. I'm not going to cheat one time. This guy brought $2,000 in his fucking pocket. He's a banker. Was I cheating? I'm not going to cheat, but was I not playing it? Exactly, man. I don't know no more, man. What's the rules of Monopoly if you get caught once cheating? What's the rules, gang? I don't know. Yeah, I thought so, motherfucker. You never know when you wrong. When everybody...
If it was real money, someone would have died. Oh my. Jit tripping. It was real money, I think. I could get a monopoly. How about pulling a bottle of Okay. We all know that Monopoly can ruin friendships, ruin lives. I mean, I have the Monopoly game up here. I mean, you know, you have to rage loud and scream. You have to rage and scream loud. Okay, here's the second video in which... This is from 9 years ago.
And just say, oh, what's till next one?
A genius trick to eat Oreo.
Of any more, and then just say, oh, what's till next one? We don't play that. We'll fucking know of it.
You're being stupid, so we're probably trying you from playing.
Well, you're being stupid not knowing this one. You actually read the book, but no, you haven't, because you just assume you just played it all stuff and then... Oh, my God. Of any more, and then just say, oh, what's till next one? We don't play that. We'll fucking know of it.
You're being stupid, so we're probably trying you from playing.
Alright, here's the final video. And then we're going to wrap it up. Now, this one really takes the cake here. And as we're about to show you... See if I can find it. There was a video on here that really talked about... It really showed him what... Really showed a foul mouth here. I think it's here somewhere. It just goes on forever, you know. It all ends up in a fight, you know. It just ruins. But there are studies that find at least the most fights on game night. And, you know, you can play Monopoly and not realize the fact that, oh, it can lead to, you know, you play with your wife. It could lead to domestic violence. When you play with your friends, you could lose your friends. I mean, friendships can be lost. And, you know, if you're going to play Monopoly, just quit after 2 hours. I mean, Monopoly-related violence. Fudge, you know. Here's the bottom line here, you know. If you want to play Monopoly, then go right ahead. Ain't nothing stopping you, but the only thing I say here is this. Play at your own risk. Otherwise what could happen to you is you're gonna be enraged and Oh wait, there was one other I want to show you. This was actually from Make Me Mad 35. The Monopoly Madness one. 2.2 million views from Make Me Mad 35. Let's take a look at this one.
Time to play a good old game of Monopoly. Time to play a good old game of Monopoly. Whoopity fucking do. Adam, that's not spirit. Now pick up the dice and roll.
Do I really have to?
Roll the goddamn dice!
Okay. Don't get a hawk smash on me.
A 2? You freaking suck at this game!
I got a double, so I'll go again.
Be my guest! You freaking suck! Roll this dice in the sucky hands! A 3? Holy horseshit! You suck at life! All aboard for all losers! Come on, railroad! So you made $25! And suck my cock! Can't believe you actually landed my railroad. Oh, God. Now your $25 is mine. You're not getting it back. God, you suck so bad.
You owe me $360.
Son of a bitch!
Alright, let's go. I get $200. Oh, I also land on community chest.
That's not always good.
Banker! I get $200 more.
Pledge you $200. Community chest. What do you know? Get out of jail. That means I can murder your ass for free.
Now listen to me, silly Billy boy. Murder me won't help you solve your financial problems.
Screw you!
Piss your pants and put them over your head.
What the fuck?
You are so beautiful.
I hate you! Shut up!
Have me suicidal. You owe me $250.
Fine. Take it and shove it up your ass!
Oh, I will.
Slayer.
I don't get this game. I mean, how the hell can I conduct business with a fucking plastic dog?
Dog.
Your dog's gonna be by my hat.
You, sir, are the devil, and no one likes to play Monopoly with a fucking devil!
Slayer.
Uh-oh. Looks like you're out of money, big boy.
And it still doesn't look like you sucked my cock.
No can do, silly Billy boy. I made a pure win.
Wait. Here. I'll use real money. I'll use real money. And if you get it, you can keep it, okay?
Okay, deal. Roll your dice. You owe me $500.
No! No!
What the
No!
What the heck? What's happening?
No!
Damien, take it easy.
No!
It's just a game. This is madness.
Madness! This is Monopoly!
Damien, the whole 300 thing's been overplayed.
Or you can suck my Godzilla cock!
You can suck my guts. You can suck my Godzilla. You can suck my guts. My Godzilla. Godzilla cock. Oh, the video that I've wanted to show you, it's not here. So with that in mind, that's Game Rec for this Friday. I'm Jonathan Carmody. Stop bullying, speak up. Concentration, not strength. No jaywalking. And no wage quitting either. I'll see you back here tomorrow night.